I did want to remind families that you can turn your FM dial to 99.7. 99.7 if you have someone in the vehicle that would like to listen to it. And we are just starting the live stream now. So if you want to text your family members, the live stream should be up and running. They should start to see the graduates on display, and then they can watch the ceremony. So the live stream is starting right now. Folks, New York State Parks has wanted me to remind everybody that you can't remain socially distanced. Please make sure you have a mask on. If you're able to remain socially distanced, you're fine. But if you can't remain socially distanced, please wear a mask. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 69th commencement of the Lewiston-Porter Central School District and the Lewiston-Porter High School. At this time, I would like to ask our senior vocalists, Lauren Egger, Nathan Fournier, and Olivia Ponticelli, to step forward to sing our Star Spangled Banner, our national anthem. Would everybody please rise?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
They sounded great. Our singers, along with our class officers, they've been here since 3 o'clock, and they've been real troopers through this whole thing, and I'm so proud of them for being with us for all three of our experiences. My name is Paul Casari, for those who are just coming and visiting. I'm the superintendent here at Lewiston-Porter Central Schools. I'm the proud superintendent of Lewiston-Porter Central Schools, particularly proud of this class of 2020. And to finally say that we made it here, we made it together, and are able to celebrate your graduation together. I'd like to introduce some folks that are on the stage with me right now. First of all, I'd like to introduce our high school principal who just joined us in February, Mr. Bradley Rolls. I feel bad for Mr. Rolls. I know he's going to mention a little later, but he joins us in February, and by March 13th, we're not in school anymore. So difficult to start a new job, but then to start a new job in the midst of a global pandemic. I give him a lot of credit, and I'm thankful for all he has accomplished and done to help us get through this. Please, would you warmly welcome our Board of Education President, Ms. Jody Reardon. Please welcome our Assistant Principal, Mr. John Everett. Board of Education Vice President, Colonel Lance Dickinson. And also on the stage tonight is our 2020 class president, Mr. Joseph Beatty. Well, as I said, we made it, and we made it together. And quite frankly, could not have done it without this great class of 2020. No one would have ever anticipated or imagined when we came to school in September 2019 to begin the 2019 school year that on March 13th, our time together would have ended. We would have gone virtual. We would have had to undergo and overcome all of the aspects of the global pandemic and how it impacted our local Western New York community. As you know, I tried to communicate with the entire school community each week. And I very specifically put on our students on my communications. But I was really speaking to the class of 2020 because we really needed your leadership. We needed your positivity. We needed your focus. And I know how well you did in terms of not only encouraging each other, but in turn encouraging all of our students, K through 12, and encouraging our entire community. We could not have done this without you, without your understanding, your commitment to a process that we were all figuring out. But we did it, and we did it together. And it points to the opportunities that we all have to overcome obstacles. This is one of the many obstacles that we will overcome. And you, as that next generation of leaders, it is so vitally important that you internalize these last 3 months and help this time to help you grow as an individual, as a family member, as a community member, and as a citizen, not only of our country, but as a global citizen as well. Times have changed. Times have changed dramatically. But this is not the first time that we have had to overcome challenges in our experience as a country, as a nation. And we will continue to do so. And it'll be through your tremendous leadership as that next generation that we will overcome. These are interesting times for sure. And I just want to finalize my words to you with the words that from a time when our country was just forming itself and a group of individuals decided to go in a different direction and took on the largest superpower in the world at that time. And they overcome obstacles and challenges, just like we will. These are the words of Thomas Paine from his essay, The Crisis, from December 23rd of 1776. These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in the crisis, shrink from the service of their country. But he that stands by it now deserves the love and the thanks of man and woman. Tyranny, like hell, is not easily conquered, yet we have this consolation with us, that the harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. What we obtain too cheap, we esteem too lightly. It is dearness only that gives everything its value. Heaven knows how to put a proper price upon its goods, and it would be strange indeed if so celestial an article as freedom should not be highly rated. These are the times that are trying all of us to the core, but we will see this through. And the fact that we are here today is a shining example of how we can work together to overcome any obstacle. I'm so proud of this class of 2020. May all your dreams come true and all your hopes be fulfilled. And may God bless each and every one of you. Thank you. And now at this time, I'd like to introduce our class salutatorian, Mr. Eric Smith. Eric?
Third time's a charm. Good evening. Welcome our class advisors, Ms. Skimmon and Mrs. Burdick, our valedictorian, Gabe Steiner, our president, Joe Beatty, our vice presidents, Ella Massaro and myself, our secretary, Jordan Casey, treasurer, Al Schultz, directors of fundraising, Grace Barner and Jack Dunn, directors of social relations, Jonathan Went and Claire Skronsky, and also again, Mr. Casari, Mrs. Reardon, Mr. Rolls, Mr. Everett, other distinguished guests, friends, and family. I also found it fairly essential to give a shout out to a few individuals of high distinction, including Justin Schultz, Alexander David Mills, Jack Dabney Dunn, the amazing national anthem singers, the Niagara Catholic Alumni Association, Grace Barner's dog Minnie, and Gino Nicelli's Quizlets. With that, I first want to thank some people for all that they've done for me over the past several years. And what better way to do it than after months of isolation due to a global pandemic? Thankfully, this doesn't have to be virtual. I've been advised to give a word of wisdom, so as Mr. Townsend said, this will be a great story to tell your grandkids. Given all of that, I'm truly honored to be given this opportunity to speak on behalf of my class. I want to start by giving my regards to some of the best teachers and staff around and my appreciation of their talent, not only to teach students, but give guidance and inspiration. I cannot stress enough their ability to make such an immense impact on the students and community that is Lewiston-Porter. I sincerely thank my fantastic class advisors and fellow class officers for working with administration to help allow this and other senior dedicated events to occur. I think we are all grateful to be here today considering all that has happened. Finally, I found it most essential to thank my amazing sister and parents. I'm so blessed to have such caring, dedicated, hardworking, and inspiring people in my life, and I'm so glad to be part of this family. I reiterate my gratitude to you all. Being able to join the Lew-Port school community in 7th grade was one of the best things that has happened to me. Granted, I was able to see and do some pretty crazy things. I was able to travel to Asia twice for the International Student Science Fair, or ISSF as Mrs. Hinchliffe and I like to call it, solely to present about what would happen when toxic chemicals were mixed with self-grown mushrooms and plants. Yes, it was as weird as it sounds. I was able to be a part of the class that made it to the finals for Powder Puff 3 years in a row, which I would call a rare achievement if it weren't for the fact that we were shadowing the class of 2018 that actually won 3 times in a row. Not to throw any shade, but at least we surpassed them in the cheerleading portion, as nothing can top Fergalicious or Drake and Josh. It was always fun to sit in the band room holding my 50-pound tuba waiting to be told to hold the tuning note until I got lightheaded, or for Joe Beatty to be told to put his phone away for the nth time in our only 40-minute rehearsal. I was able to be a part of the swim team that grew over 6 years, going from having less than 10 members, half of whom could barely swim, to winning 10 out of the 12 meets in my senior season. We were somehow able to do all of this while having our pool on the 2nd floor, but I guess that just made us one level higher than everyone else. Maybe our success resulted from us getting superhuman strength due to that minor chemical spill in our pool 2 years ago. Believe me, I've watched X-Men. In my time at this school, I was able to witness some of my friends go to sectionals, states, and then winning and even going on to nationals, only further supporting my X-Men theory. All in all, what better way to spend your high school experience than at a place where you can do all of that and more, wearing a color that technically doesn't go well with anything, and only running on Orange Cat Coffee, Favorites Pizza, Hibbard's Ice Cream, and a wide variety of other restaurants known as her outside of a 20-mile radius. In all seriousness, I love Lew-Port. I'm more than glad to have had an opportunity to be a part of this amazing class. While we have been without a doubt successful in our achievements in education, we are known for so much more. As much as I can say that the Lew-Port curriculum has taught me just about everything I need to know for pursuing a higher education, I can also proudly reflect on the people I've had the honor to be learning with for the past few years and what they've taught me. We are not pushovers, and we always stand up for what is right without hesitation. Cliques aren't really a thing in our class, which is partly due to our refusal to be placed into categories or stereotypes. We are creative and strong-willed, empathetic and enthusiastic, passionate and motivated, and overall great people to be around. As much as we refuse to admit it, we really, really care about each other. We like to strive for personal success, but we more so want to succeed together. It is rare to find so many leaders and so much potential among such a small group of people. As much as we have been impacted over the last few months, one thing is of utmost clarity. We are not defined by disease. We have worked way too hard to get to where we are today, and as much as we don't deserve all that has happened to us, we must not forget to celebrate both our individual journeys and our combined success. My senior quote is from one of the best rock songs of all time, Don't Stop Believin'. I know many of you may have been expecting something from Bohemian Rhapsody, but unfortunately, I cannot do the best rock song of all time justice without a piano in front of me. The quote is, "Oh, the movie never ends. It goes on and on and on and on." Given that, I hope to spread the idea that our time at Lew-Port was more than great, but this is only the beginning of our amazing lives. To the class of 2020, if I leave one thing with you all, besides taking the time to thank whoever has pushed you to get to where you are today, it is this. While all of your movies go on and on into the future, I only ask that you don't leave the Lew-Port community behind, but you take it with you and hold on to it forever. I'm excited to see what you can accomplish, and I hope you know that if you were ever to return, you will be welcomed with open arms. With that, I sincerely congratulate you for your success. Thank you for attending and declare, don't ever stop believing. Thank you. I would now like to introduce Mrs. Jody Reardon, the president of the Lew-Port Board of Education.
May you live in interesting times. Whether this is a proverb or a curse has long been argued, but however you weigh it, we are living in interesting times. Times of pestilence and plague, civil unrest, racial and gender inequality, economic hardship, times of danger and uncertainty. But times as these also prove to be the most creative of any time in the history of mankind. And everyone here will ultimately judge himself on the effort he has contributed to building a new world society and the extent to which his ideals and goals have shaped that effort. I quote Robert F. Kennedy in 1966, and I challenge you, class of 2020, to rise to the occasion. You enter the annals of history, a graduating class of men and women coming of age at a crucial time. Generations before you have lived through pandemic, through dramatic instances of human suffering. They rose to greatness. Hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny. So far, you have not been called to action. You have instead been grounded just when you were ready to fly. But the class of 2020 cannot, will not be defined by what was missed. What will define you is what was gained, what you learned, what you do next, what you take away from this and build. Adversity does not build character, it reveals it. It has shown in you in your resilience, patience, kindness, grace. It has shown in the strength of your friendships, the depth of your empathy, your bond. The pandemic did not define the character of this class, it revealed it. Remember, hindsight is 2020. May you look back on these interesting times and realize the opportunity. Remember fondly the gift of time with your family, the camaraderie of your friends, how the entire Lewiston-Porter community came together to recognize and celebrate your accomplishments, how unexpected adversity brought unexpected joys. Class of 2020, take everything you learned in your years at Lewiston-Porter, everything you learned through these last months of interesting times, and go change the world. On behalf of the Lewiston-Porter Board of Education, congratulations to each of you. May you know happiness and success. May you live in interesting times. Thanks. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce the valedictorian of the class of 2020, Mr. Gabe Steiner.
Nope, can't talk through that thing. Erica, do you mind holding this? Right. Ladies and gentlemen, hobos and tramps, cross-eyed mosquitoes and bow-legged ants. I'm the host with a lease, so I'll give you more. Admission is free, so pay at the door. Pull up a chair and sit on the floor, and I'll tell you a speech you've heard twice before. Before I begin, I'd like to give a couple shout-outs. Obviously, of course, I couldn't do this without giving a shout-out to my family and friends and the staff of this school that helped me get to where I am now, something which I often wonder exactly how that happened. But not to say that I'm not happy about that. I really want to thank all of you. Beyond that, a special thanks to the yearbook committee for putting in my senior quote without checking where it came from. Little disappointed they didn't put in my special thanks, though, which was a special thanks to my parents for making the worst mistakes in Gallipoli. A special thanks also to anyone at the silo who orders things on a plain roll. You save me a lot of time. And if you order things on a gluten-free roll when you don't actually have a gluten-free allergy, know that God will someday judge you for what you have done. Anyway, with that out of the way, I have a story for you. The day is June 1st. I just finished my AP physics exam. I had to retake it because my internet died the first time. And I got a text message. It's a message from the school band director, Miss Burdick, to both me and Eric Smith, the Salutatorian. Yes, it goes something like this. Hi guys, I want to check in how your Valedictorian/Salutatorian speeches are going. The aggregate dad is doing a special feature, etc., etc. It went on for a while. Anyway, Eric responds with, it shouldn't be a problem. I'll try to get it to you by June 6th. And I respond with, we needed speeches? You see, this was back when everything was still up in the air with regards to how graduation was going to work. Last time I'd heard, the graduation ceremony was either just completely removed or at least postponed for quite some time. So between that, the APs that I just gotten done with, the projects that I just started getting assigned, thanks, and the new job I was starting the very next day, making a valedictorian speech was between global thermonuclear war and summertime blizzard on my list of concerns. Although, given how this year's been going, neither of those things are completely off the table. So on top of everything else that I was dealing with, I now had to write an entire valedictorian speech, which by extension also meant that I had to figure out how to write a valedictorian speech that I had absolutely no idea what that entailed. Needless to say, my hopes were not high. But as you can tell with the fact that I'm here giving my valedictorian speech, I managed to do so. I eventually figured things out on my own, i.e. read a bunch of guides and watched recordings of other people's speeches, mustered up enough motivation to stop procrastinating, and typed out these very words that I'm speaking to you right now. Yes, these ones. And these ones too. And why did I write that? Anyway, one of the main things I definitely didn't learn from reading online tutorials was that the valedictorian speech should have a theme. And with everything that's happened thus far, I can think of no theme more fitting than adaptability. I really should have written a better segue than this, but the connection that I was going for here was that I had to adapt to a new and unexpected challenge, even while handling a bunch of other things, and you get the idea. I'm not going to torture this metaphor anymore. Referencing current events is another thing you're apparently supposed to do in a valedictorian speech, and if that's the case, I sure picked the right year to graduate. I could go on for, well, till the sun fell and then came back up. I hope the sun doesn't actually fall. That would be bad. We've been through a lot together. Well, maybe not actually together per se, but you get what I mean. And yet, in spite of it all, we're still here. By and large, we're still the same people we were before this all went down. A bit older, a bit wiser, a bit less confident about the future, a bit more in need of counseling maybe, but mostly the same. Which makes sense, really, since that's how we managed to get this far in the first place. Think about it. Most speeches are pretty localized, right? You should know this, especially if you were in Mr. Wanamaker's class with me. Shout out to all of you. All of you who decided to make it 12th grade instead of 11th. The one exception, they are pretty much confined to an area. Even if that area is pretty large, it's still generally one specific area based on climate, geography, the other species living there, stuff like that. One exception to this, us. Human beings inhabit practically every corner of the globe, and that's really saying something because a globe, contrary to what some people claim, has no corners. All jokes aside, it really is impressive from a biological perspective. A species that lives everywhere from the hot, dry, barren expanses of the Sahara Desert, or like my dad's family, El Centro, California, to the cold, dry, barren expanses of the Antarctic Desert, because apparently Antarctica is a desert. Can't make this stuff up. That ventures everywhere from the peaks of the highest mountains simply because they're there to, well, we're still working on the deepest depths of the ocean, but we'll get there eventually, and all the way beyond its own planet's atmosphere. And the reason behind it is, as I mentioned, adaptability. The quote that sums this up rather well. You might have heard it before. It is not the most intellectual of the species that survives. It is not the strongest that survives, but the species that survives is the one that is able best to adapt and adjust to the changing environment in which it finds itself. Contrary to what many claim, Darwin did not actually say that. Leon Megginson did, and he is a business professor, so a bit wide of the mark there. But the point still stands. One of the major things that makes humans so capable is their ability to adapt to change, and it is this adaptability that's allowed us to conquer the world and beyond. Well, I guess that's the theme behind this speech. Be adaptable. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, there are situations where you should hold your ground and changes that you should refuse to go along with. But even this is, in a sense, adapting. It's just that you're not adapting yourself to the situation, you're adapting the situation to yourself. Still, in many cases, the situation is beyond your control. This year has taught us that lesson very thoroughly so far, and we'll probably continue handing out review packets for the remaining 6 months. So there's nothing you can do except roll with the punches. Even if the punches are coming at you from extra-dimensional directions you can neither perceive nor comprehend. On my other last bit of advice, let your hair down a little. Don't take yourself too seriously. There are better things to get worked up over than the opinion of random strangers on the internet. Now, with all that being said, I think it's time we blow this scene. Get everybody and stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam. Ladies and gentlemen, retired Colonel Dickinson is up next. Remember, Deus Linda S, and I will see you all someday.
Tough act to follow there. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I have the special honor to recognize those graduates who are pursuing entry in the United States Armed Forces. Our nation's success is founded on the sacrifices of generations who served in our armed forces defending our ideals. President Reagan said, "Freedom is a fragile thing and is never more than one generation away from extinction. It is not ours by inheritance. It must be fought for and defended constantly by each generation, for it comes only once to a people. Those who have known freedom then lost it have never known it again." The individuals we are going to recognize tonight are part of the next generation who have made the decision to join the armed forces and fight for our freedoms. Soon they will be facing the challenges of this uncertain world, but they will be joining a team where no member is more important than the other, and a team that upholds the core values of integrity, loyalty, duty, respect, honor, service, courage, and commitment. At this time, it's my honor to introduce the graduates who are entering the armed forces. Please hold your applause until I have introduced all the candidates. And graduates, please rise when I call your name and remain standing until everyone's introduced. Joining Army ROTC at Niagara University will be Ethan Winter. Also joining Ethan entering the military, but not in this section tonight, will be Jaden Ball joining the Marine Corps, Joseph Di Natale joining the United States Air Force, Joseph Medlin joining the United States Army, and Neve Pasha joining the Army National Guard. I would personally like to congratulate you on your decision, one that will shape you for the rest of your life. You will find that as you put on the uniform, you will stand a little taller, and your heart beats a little faster with the pride of being a member in the service of our great nation. We will demand much from you, but I have no doubt of your ability to succeed. Welcome to the finest armed forces on earth, and let me be the first to salute you for accepting the call to serve your country. And now I'd like to introduce your high school principal, Mr. Rolls.
Good evening. I just want to take a moment. I want to say thank you to Colonel Dickinson for his commitment to our country and to this great community. Thank you, sir. Before we continue, I also want to just take a moment and thank an individual that truly bleeds green and white. Over his years as a teacher, a building level administrator, a superintendent, and most recently, the interim high school principal. Absolutely loves this community and working with the students of this community. So Dr. Whitney Valentine, I want to say thank you for your continued service to Lew-Port. And personally, I'd like to say thank you for your mentorship. I know you're just a phone call away, so thank you very much for that. At this time, I now have the honor of announcing students with diplomas of highest distinction, diploma with distinction, and diploma with honors. The students with highest distinction are students who within their 4-year career at Lew-Port High School earned a GPA higher than 100%. Once I call your name, I'd ask that you would stand until the last name is read before we applaud your amazing talents and achievements. Caroline Racky with a GPA of 100.66. Jackson Rogers with a GPA of 102.68. Justin Schultz with a GPA of 100.6. Gregory Slajewski with a GPA of 100.73. Your salutatorian, Eric Smith, with a GPA of 103.44. Your valedictorian, Gabe Steiner, with a GPA of 103.5. Maggie Wechter with a GPA of 100.74. Jocelyn Woods with a GPA of 102.38. And Joshua Zastro with a GPA of 100.28. Congratulations on all of your hard work and achievement. Thank you. You may now be seated. Thank you. Students who during their 4 years at Lew-Port High School achieved a GPA of 98 to 99.99 are the following: Nicholas Ruppel, Alexa Schultz, L. Schultz, Avery Sawecki, Haley Wagner, and Evan Wall. Congratulations to all of you. You can be seated. Thank you. For those students earning an honors diploma, and that's a 4-year GPA of 95 to 97.99 are the following: Sarah Ponzi, John Shanks, Corey Stack, Chase Turner, Jonathan Went, and Benjamin Wistow. Congratulations to all of you for your hard work, commitment, and determination. So thank you. You can be seated. Thank you. To the class of 2020, what a year. As I've communicated more than a few times, there is nothing that I can say to fill the void left by so many canceled senior year memories. I believe I may know just a little of how you feel, having only been in the building as your principal for 5 weeks, missing out on getting to know my students. Even though we have not been in the building as one Lew-Port family since Friday, March 13th, we've continued to aim higher, to persevere, and we succeeded. This health-related break has taught all of us an important lesson, that too many times we'll find ourselves traveling down a road or a path that wasn't or is not by our choosing. Who would have thought that in the 21st century, we'd be living through a global pandemic, schools and much of our community closed, and our own sense of normalcy altered? Each generation has at least one defining moment. It may be a Great Depression, a global conflict, Pearl Harbor, the fall of the Berlin Wall, 9/11, or even a global pandemic, to name a few. Throughout these crucial moments in times, many individuals didn't or couldn't choose the path that these moments took them on. But in all of these historic moments, individuals stood tall, persevered, accomplished goals, succeeded, and met the challenge head on. I'm proud to say that each of you are here today because of your commitment, your hard work, and actually confronting this moment, this pandemic, head on. You never let something stand in your way, even a global pandemic, to achieve your goal of being a high school graduate. With all that being said, I'm extremely proud to call myself a Lancer, to witness the outpouring of support from the Lew-Port community for our seniors, to view firsthand the prominent role that this school district plays in this community. Just one shining example would be your senior day parade. The parade was absolutely one of the coolest experiences in my professional career. To see hundreds, if not thousands of community members, old or young, wearing green, cheering on your accomplishments was truly amazing to be a part of. I've always believed that schools cradle and nurture the community's greatest assets, and that's you, its students, its future. It is that belief that makes my job so rewarding when I look out from this podium this evening. To the class of 2020, you are historic, but not from what you lost, but rather your shining example of perseverance and success. The Lew-Port family is extremely proud of all of you. Remember, you're always welcome home. Congratulations. Mr. Casari, as the principal of Lewiston-Porter High School, I have reviewed the educational record of each of these young men and women and have found that they have met all requirements for graduation as established by the Lewiston-Porter Board of Education and the New York State Department of Education. I now recommend them for you for your confirmation. Thank you.
Mr. Rolls, as Superintendent of Lewiston-Porter Central Schools, I accept your recommendation, and in accordance with the Lewiston-Porter Board of Education policies and regulations established by the New York State Department of Education, I now confer upon these candidates a Lewiston-Porter High School diploma. Congratulations. We are going to begin the process of the distribution of our diplomas. Following the guidelines established by the New York State Parks for our ceremony this evening, we would ask that graduates, as you come up to the stage, you wear your mask. Once you get to the stairs, you may take your mask off. Your diploma will be sitting on a table, small table, placed by your school counselor. Once you get your diploma, certainly display it. It'll go out there on a live stream and certainly be proud of it. When you come off the stage, we have a professional photographer that will take a picture with myself and Mr. Rolls over by the flags and the Lew-Port flag. And Dr. Van Tyne and the chaperones on that side of the rows will help make sure that the rows go up in an orderly fashion. So now I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Rolls. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Casari. At this time, I'd like to call up the co-advisors for the class of 2020.
Congratulations to our amazing class of 2020. As you come up to receive your diploma, if you could bring your name card and hand it to either myself or Ms. Burdick, it would be greatly appreciated. Sarah Ponzi. Celestina Preston. Madison Price. Michaela Marie Pulley McNamara. Caroline A. Radke. Zachary Reed. Kyle Rhodes. Jackson E. Rogers. Noel Ruthier. Trent Ruthier.
Jade Schaefer. Madison Schmader. Alexa Schultz. L. Schultz. Justin Schultz. Gwendolyn Scoville. John Joseph Shanks. Megan Sherman. Claire Kellick Skronsky. Gregory Slajeski. Gianna Nicole Smalley. Eric T. Smith.
Avery Noel Sawicki. Corey Alexander Stack.
Gabriel Walter Steiner.
Tyler Henry Stevenson. John Paul Stewart. Zachary Tamil. Madison Tholen.
Austin M.J. Thurman. Alexander Trimboli. Morgan Ryan Ullery. Victor Vandenbosch. Emma Rose Beltry. Caitlin Rose Bulmer. Maggie A. Wechter.
Haley Noel Wagner. Evan M. Wall. Benjamin James Warren. Jonathan Archer Wint. Sierra Marie Westmoreland. Eric K. Wieland. Michael A. Wilson Jr.,
Ethan Winter. Benjamin Michael Wistow. Crizel Janelli M. Yanto. Cadence Young. Joseph Zachary. Joshua Zastro. And Corey C. Zutal. Congratulations to our graduates of 2020. It is now my privilege to present to you the president of the class of 2020, Joseph Beatty.
I'm not going to be able to beat Gabe's, I'm telling you right now. Hello, everybody, and thank you all for coming here today. For those who don't know me, my name is Joseph Beatty, and I've had the honor of being the class of 2020 president for the past 4 years. Before I begin, I would like to thank my teachers and the staff that have helped me get through these past 4 years. The faculty here at Lewiston-Porter is the best there is, and we as a class cannot thank you all enough. To my mom and dad, I cannot thank you enough for all that you have done for me and your constant support in everything that I do. Also, I'd like to thank Paul, Lindsay, and Katie for being the best older siblings the baby of the family can ask for. And last, thank you to my grandpa and grandma and Bappa for always being there and being role models for me. To my fellow students, we finally did it. We turned in our last assignment. We ended our last Zoom call. We got our last Star 65 put in Power School because we didn't do either of the things I just said. Despite all the obstacles thrown our way this year, we did it. And as your class president and on behalf of the class officers, I would like to congratulate everyone here today. The class of 2020 is a very special one, and not just because the last 3 months of our school year was canceled because of a pandemic. The 160 or so students that make up our class have accomplished so much, whether it be academically, athletically, musically, you name it, our class has excelled in it. In the world of athletics, members of our class have won sectional, state, and NFL championships, a Powder Puff championship. They've made all NFL and all state teams, and many have been named scholar athletes. Travel to the music wing, and our students have been accepted into various all-county, area all-state, and conference all-state ensembles, as well as participated in many festivals at the county and state levels, and dozens of concerts and musicals. Not to mention programs and clubs like BOCES, DECA, Business Academy, Lancer Council, Yearbook, the art clubs, masterminds, foreign language clubs, and many more where students are given the chance to do what they love and to excel at it. Each member of the class of 2020 has their own unique combination of activities, experiences, and relationships that shape them into the person that they are today. For me, one of the most influential experiences during my time at Lewiston-Porter was my decision to join the soccer team. My coaches, Mr. Sweeney and Mr. Bollinger, taught me and my teammates commitment, teamwork, hard work, and determination, and these lessons taught us how to succeed both on and off the field. I'll always be grateful for my coaches, my teammates, and the memories that we made together. My time with the music department at Lew-Port has been one of the most rewarding experiences during my years in high school and middle school. For the past 7 years, yes, 7, I've had the privilege of having Miss Burdick as my band teacher, and she has had the privilege of dealing with me on a daily basis. On a serious note, I couldn't imagine my time at Lew-Port without her. She works tirelessly not only for the band, but also for our class, and no matter how much me, Anthony Dragoni, and Jack Dunn annoyed her in band, she was always there to give us advice, make sandwiches, or do anything that we might have needed during the school day, and I can say I couldn't have survived without her. Last August, all we could think about was the fun experiences that we'd be having around this time. Class day, prom, and the senior trip are just a few of the things that my classmates and I sadly lost to Corona. No one could have imagined that everything would happen the way it did, but here we are, and like I said, the class of 2020 is a special one, and we will learn from all of this. Even in times of disappointment and uncertainty, the community has had our back. The support from family, friends, and even those we've never met before the past 3 months has been outstanding. The Adopt a Senior program, the Ransomville Volunteer Fire Company stopping by our houses, and the senior parade set up by our school and police department are just a few examples of how powerful and meaningful positivity can be to people in dark times. This pandemic gave everybody two options. You could either sit and pout about what you lost, or you could focus on making yourself better and stronger than you were before. And I'm not gonna lie, for the first month and a half, I let the quarantine get to me, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate. But my time in this area is ending soon as I am leaving for college in a couple months, and I finally decided to use this time to create memories I'll never forget. Some seniors were asked to submit quotes for the commencement program today, and I think mine is a perfect one for the situation that we're in. Super Bowl champion and MVP Patrick Mahomes said, "Every experience, good or bad, you have to learn from." And I believe our class has and will continue to learn from every experience, both the good and the bad. We are resilient, dynamic, caring, and willing to take on the challenges life throws our way. I can't wait to see how far we will go in the next 10 years and beyond. To my fellow classmates, I'd like to congratulate you all one more time for making it here, and I'd like to thank you for being the best class I could ever hope to belong to. Thank you everyone for coming here today. I hope everyone has a great and memorable summer. Once a Lancer, always a Lancer. Now I'd like to introduce seniors Lauren Egger, Nathan Fournier, Olivia Ponticelli, and their accompanist, Mr. Burrett, performing You'll Never Walk Alone.
When you walk through a storm, keep your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. Walk on through the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. When you walk through a storm, keep your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of the storm is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of a lark. and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone.
Would the members of the class of 2020 please stand up? And please move your tassels from the right to the left. Congratulations, everybody. Please remain standing for the singing of the alma mater.
To the Lewiston-Porter swells a strain of honor true. Hallowed halls we look to thee for a path to guide us through. In our hearts will ever be freedom, wisdom, honesty, home of our alma mater, home of our alma mater. Lamps of knowledge burn inside and grow brighter through the years. Day by day grows student pride for the school we love so dear. We salute thee, green and white, banners proud and ever bright, home of our alma mater, home of our alma mater. To the Lewiston-Porter, our hearts will e'er be true. Though we may be far away, we will pledge ourselves anew. Near Niagara's flowing might, we'll uphold your honor bright, home of our alma mater, home of our alma mater.
Thank you. How about a round of applause for our senior vocalists under the direction of Mr. James Burr? Fantastic job. They have been singing since 4 o'clock this afternoon, and they sounded fantastic, so thank you. As we come to the close of our third and final commencement, and also the closing of the 69th commencement ceremony for the Lewiston-Porter Central School District, I want to say congratulations. Job well done. The next chapter has yet to be written. Sky's the limits. Thank you and be safe. Thank you very much.
You may return to your cars, folks. You can certainly hang a little while. New York State Parks again reminds me to remind you that please wear a mask if you cannot safe socially distance, and that comes directly from New York State Parks. Thank you.